Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Well, as Trump is in Egypt, we have 20 countries gathering together, except for Israel and Hamas. And I'm beginning to think that Hamas is probably a paid character paid for by Israel. But yet we have returned hostages. We have a theater unfolding. I want to remind everybody in the world that in Iran, Israel used to bomb Israeli Jewish settlers in Iran and use that as propaganda to create news to get them to come home. And I'm smelling the same blueprints here. What I'm wanting you to understand is that in this battle scene behind me, 1,300 men died fighting Russia in one area. In another area, I'm going to show you 5,000 men. We have maybe 8,000 to 10,000 people that have died just since Trump's been on a peace mission. And Zelensky's asking for the tomahawks. We have a response by Klitschko in Belarus that if they do that, he will use nuclear weapons and demolish the Ukraine and make it history himself. So this is a direct threat from Belarus in alliance with Colonel Putin. And we have a unification of everybody, even in Germany, they're unifying behind Putin. We see a dissolved Ursula. There's no power in the EU or the NATO. It's completely gone. It's a dying proxy, and the Kremlin envoy exposes how the West is wearing itself out in the Ukraine, and we can see that. Now our patriots are less than 3 to 6% successful in defending anything because Russia has used this time to dissect us, to study us, so that we can be exposed. But in 24 hours here behind me, 1,300 plus dead, Russia claims. Kiev is 100% retreating, and we have that happening 100%. And it's major stuff that we need to be concerned about right now because we have, like I said, a unification of China with North Korea and Russia, and now we have an alliance with India happening to us here in America, and we need to be concerned about this alliance as India is infiltrating into Australia. I'm going to bring that up here today, as well as other countries at an alarming rate. And countries are basically saying that they cannot support Benjamin Netanyahu at any cost. And it's just becoming out of control, and people are noticing it. So we have an attack on tariffs that backfired from us. And Trump is trying to make these tariffs happen in America so that we don't have property taxes. There are states like Texas, Ohio, Florida that have made promises, but these promises have not been kept because they've been stopped by the governors. And so we're still faced with unreasonable property taxes, and it's not just those property taxes that are a crime. It's the interest that they allow to put on property taxes after you don't pay them, like 40%. And then they seize your property for what they get, and they don't give you the interest back. They straight out rob citizens for something that's not in the Constitution. This should be against the Constitution itself. And that's just something that I'm going to bring up for Americans because it's very true. We don't know what we can get behind. Now, we have some interesting things that are happening in bribes, and I'm going to bring up Maduro here, and it's an interest to me. One of my best crews is drilling down there right now off the coast from the Amazon up into Suriname. It's all about oil. We got $150 billion. We got a big bribe. We got money on Maduro's head and his generals. And it's so that we can get there and get his oil. That's right. Now, he said, he kind of chickened out. He said, look, I'll stop selling to China and to Russia. It's a day late and a dollar short, Maduro. So I'm going to let you know that that's just happening, and it doesn't jibe with me. A lot of things don't jibe with me. You can play Muslim music, but I can't have chickens kiss my ass. What did I say? I'm talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, anyways, we got Maduro here and Trump, and we're sliding into a world war, but I know it's because of Netanyahu. And we're bombing Qatar. We're appeasing stuff, but then did you hear it? We're going to put a Qatar Air Force Base in Idaho. Who's the hoe? Apparently I am. Try to put some potatoes on that, Qatar potatoes, especially because I guess Pete is just letting them slide on in here. So you're going to have some more Muslim music sliding on into Idaho with the Idaho potatoes. Yeah, if Minnesota wasn't bad enough, or Minnesota, or, Dearborn, Michigan. In fact, Dearborn, Michigan sounds like a chicken fight going off already. What do I mean by that? Well, you'd never know, but I'm going to have to tell you something about on-camera stuff happening in Portland. We got a weird war, and ICE agents couldn't apprehend people that were close, so we had dinglings on bicycles. I'm a dingling, you're a dingling, won't you play with my dingling? And that's what they were singing as they were going through, naked protesters, basically going through the streets, getting pepper sprayed. If you think that being gay was going to set you on fire, think again. Bear spray 101. And there you go, the ICE facility in Portland was stormed by nude American biker protesters, and Trump had to deploy something, but in this case, my goodness, how much do you have to pay somebody to defend that? And how do you defend it? I mean, that's, I think there's just a lot of material, a lot of good material that could have been had here, but in my opinion, this is kind of an interesting thing that we have. But we have a lot of people that are revolting, and I just wanted you to know that. The nation, how good is the nation really going on? Well, I'm going to go to Dallas, Texas. Something I enjoyed going to my whole entire life as a child here, and what we're speculating and looking at now, and it's just kind of an amazing shocker. State Fair, Texas is completely empty as the economy collapses, and I wanted you to know that. And it's just an amazing thing to see, because kids aren't getting to enjoy what we used to get to enjoy. On another news front, we got a new Fujian, China's Type 003 aircraft carrier. This is one of the biggest babies out there that's hitting the fleet. I'm going to let you know it's got some faults. Thank goodness they can't tandem like takeoff aircraft. So even though it's a good replica, like a Chinese fake Rolex watch, it also sucks. And Navy hit them out of the sky hard. You're going to have to worry about all their missiles. We'll bring that up, and they're sitting on some good ones. But we have China, and that's just something that's just pretty shocking. But remember, I told you in Idaho we got these potatoes going on, and pretty soon these potatoes are going to have a little bit of flavor of turmeric and cumin with a little bit of curry in there, and possibly you'll see some camels. And I'm not being, I'm not kidding. Not just chickens, but camels, friends. And that's because the United States, for lethality purposes, we just hit them by proxy through Israel. But now we're going to offer these guys in Qatar to build an Air Force hub in Idaho so that they can practice with F-15s here in the middle of our country. I want to know if you think this is kosher and cool, or if you think this is kind of a dumbass move. Do you want the Qataris to be flying F-15s in the United States of America? I think that this is like one of them chess moves where you're letting them stick a knight in the middle of our country, and it's stupid, period. Yeah, even my Boston Terriers think that this is stupid. Even from a distance, I can tell that they're basically letting Dad know, you know what, this is almost like a Shirley Temple that just isn't just kind of sitting right. So U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, He announced and finalized a defense deal with Qatar on October 10th, allowing the Qatari Emiri Air Force to build a training facility at Idaho's Mountain Home Air Force Base. The facility will host Qatari pilots training alongside U.S. soldiers and house F-15QA jets. Hegseth praised Qatari's mediation in Gaza. In support during U.S. operations, the Pentagon clarified Qatar will not have its own base, while critics like Laura Loomer called the plan an abomination. I call the plan just straight out idiotic, stupid, just idiotic and stupid, period. If you want them to have a base, keep it in Qatar. I don't want it here. I don't want it here, period. Who are you kidding? So let me get this straight. We got a Qatar Air Force Base in the middle of our country with one of the most badass jets we've ever created. Wow. If I had faith, it leaves me daily. It started with the Epstein debacle. Now watching Johnson defend pedophiles, that really takes the breath out of my sails. And now Pete here. He wants to let us know that he's going to let Qatar, we're going to have a Muslim Air Force base basically in the middle of Idaho. If that's not bad enough for you, I'm again wondering why they won't let me raise chickens. And if you mean, what is your, correlation between chickens and Muslims, Chris? Well, is it the finger licking good aspect? No, it's the crowing, and I'll let you hear that in just a second too. But I've let you see on cam naked protesters. We have Trump, Mr. Orange Man, good watermelon balls. He flies in, and I'll give him some credit here because he's hanging around all the enemies, calling them out. And he notices that Georgia Maloney's beautiful. He goes, "You don't mind if I call you beautiful, do you, sweetheart?" So he's charming, and he's charming to Maloney there behind, and I'll let him talk for a little while as I bring up some interesting stuff. Sidebar to let you know here, we got the Emperor Wears No Clothes that is out in Amazon, talking about how you can turn your water air conditioner system into a water machine, go 100% sustainable. Do you need to go sustainable? I don't know. Are we going to war? You tell me. But if we are...
Striving, hoping, and praying for. They have done things over the last month that I think were really unthinkable. Nobody thought this could happen. With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions have finally been answered. As you know, the hostages have been returned, and further work goes on having to do with the, sadly to say, bodies. Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East, and we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there. These are great leaders. After years of suffering and bloodshed, the war in Gaza is over. Humanitarian aid is now pouring in, including hundreds of truckloads of food, and medical equipment, and other supplies, much of it paid for by people in this room.
Thank you, President.
Civilians are returning to their homes. The hostages are reuniting. I mean, it's beautiful.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
No kidding.
He's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police?
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S. exploiting a process called law of return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hoff, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles.
So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here. A lot of memories coming through my mind.
Memories of his alleged abuser, Mordechai Yomtov, who taught him Hebrew studies when he was just 8 years old.
So in the beginning, he would just rub me outside of my pants, and then I would say about 3 to 4 months later, he started going in.
Reaching down your pants?
Yeah, reaching down.
Why did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yomtov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yomtov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to you understand what this is? I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. Being on parole, but I realized I left within a week later.
He had this message for his victims.
I'm very sorry.
The other person in this video is Meir Seawald, the founder of Jewish Community Watch. He tells CBS News Yomtov's case isn't uncommon in the Orthodox community.
The same thing that's going on in the Catholic Church right now around the world, the exact same thing happens in our community. The rabbis say it's, you know what, he promised he's going to go for therapy, he's never going to do it again. Boom, he's in another community. A few years later, he's at the same thing, and we hear more allegations that the person continued to.
We are here in front of the White House. Well, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, is about to meet with American President Trump. And we are here to set the record straight and to make sure that people, including the President, understand that Benjamin Netanyahu does not represent world Jewry, and certainly not the Jewish religion.
I'm actually wanting you to see this, and I'm wanting you to see that these are rabbis that are letting us know that Netanyahu has hijacked our identity. He has hijacked Judaism. True Jews treat the neighbors that they want to be treated themselves, and they follow the Pentateuch, the Torah, and we have a Talmud of Polish immigrants that are giving real Jews a bad name. And this is something, so we have almost 66% plus of American Jews, 2/3, and even more in Israel. We have an out-of-control prime minister in Israel, and I believe that he's orchestrated a lot that we're seeing so that he can continue his rage of terror. And I want you to know that all of Europe is unified, and unified under Christ with Putin. I want you to know that we are standing on something that the world is noticing, and I'm not alone in this. So these are endless cycles of bloodshed. It's a violation of Judaism, and this killing, this oppression of entire people, these are crimes in Judaism. And I just want you to know, there you go. These are just things that you need to understand, and I don't want the Jewish people to be blamed for the action of a leader that's out of control. And Benjamin Netanyahu is out of control. Now, I'm going to tell you that we've got agents that we need to be very keen to here in our country. And we need to just see how the world is reacting, okay? And so this is Greta Thunberg. When she comes back home, her country stands pretty united with her. We have Italy, Greece, Spain, all of pretty much everybody in Europe is in agreement as far as wanting peace for the people of Palestine. I'm wanting us to know that. Now, Nick Fuentes has made a lot of headway recently, And I pray for his safety and everything he's doing. He and Candace Owens are exposing a lot of truth. We know now that this was not a 30-06. We know that it was a back shot. The front was something coming out. There's a lot of stuff and truths that are being covered with Charlie Kirk. I know about 75% of us do not believe the narrative. We know Tyler Robinson could not have been the guy. It could not have been a World War I, World War II, 30-06 from the front. And we have the whole entire campus and team cleaning up forensic evidence. It could be exculpatory evidence for the patsy that we have, but I don't think that we're looking at the truth. Now, we have Nick Fuentes going nuclear on Mark Lemon and Ben Shapiro, and as he should, because they're agents for Israel.
Well, one concern we have about the death of Charlie Kirk is that who is going to keep the gate and prevent filth like Nick Fuentes from taking over? Josh Hammer said, who's going to prevent anti-Semitic filth like Nick Fuentes from taking over? You're the filth. Newsflash, buddy. Hey, Josh Hammer, Mark Levin, you're the filth. You are fucking scum. You are traitors. You do not belong.
This is interesting as well. I want you to hear this. And this is some stuff that this kind of caught my ear, and it was basically what you're going to hear is some rabbis. This is new Zionism that they're teaching in the synagogue over there, and how they believe that we as Americans and other races need to be sacrificed and need to die so that basically Israel and they, the chosen people, can continue. So listen to this.
So right off the bat, she's letting you know that human sacrifice,
list.
no one is above being forced to be on the front line.
Humanity tells itself is that we have outgrown human sacrifice.
So right off the bat, she's letting you know that human sacrifice is not only something that isn't taboo, it's something that is very acceptable and should be practiced. And look at the cadre of listen, you want to talk about very white people. You see, when it comes to Israel and what they claim is theirs, these people that you see here are the biggest harbingers of the state of Israel.
How does he get that yarmulke to stay on his head? Like, is it like a suction cup? But yeah,
Well, the city of Minneapolis is caught in what some call an urban doom loop. As crime increases, businesses leave, the tax base shrinks, and everything continues to decline. Well, some blame soft on crime policies the city has adopted in the wake of the riots after George Floyd's murder. Well, Dale Hurd reports from Minneapolis.
Friends of mine, you're great people. I have a couple I don't like in particular, but I won't tell you who. I have actually a few of them I don't like at all, but you'll never find out who they are. And maybe you will, come to think of it. But I have most of you who I like a lot, and I respect a lot. Maybe that's more important. We listened, and we exchanged ideas, and we kept pushing forward until the job was done, and the first steps to peace are always the hardest. This is the day that people across the region and around the world have been working, striving hoping and praying for. They have done things over the last month that I think were really unthinkable. Nobody thought this could happen. With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions have finally been answered. As you know, the hostages have been returned, and further work goes on having to do with the, sadly to say, bodies. Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East, and we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there. These are great leaders. After years of suffering and bloodshed, the war in Gaza is over. Humanitarian aid is now pouring in, including hundreds of truckloads of food, medical equipment, and other supplies, much of it paid for by people in this room. Civilians are returning to their homes. The hostages are reuniting. I mean, it's beautiful. I'm just watching it backstage. The level of love and sorrow, I've never seen anything like it. It's amazing when you see they haven't.
Christian influencers, okay? You said, we talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke right, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane, they're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance, to that community. They're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we engage. And the most important ones are social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one? That's most important. X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy.
We're in Dearborn. This is the call of prayer that goes off 5 times a day here in the United States. Would you like to hear this blasting through your neighborhood? They don't have a choice of whether they hear this or not.
Have you heard about what's brewing in Dearborn, Michigan?
Okay, now I'm going to let you know.
Blasting the call to prayer, one woman told City Council it wakes her up bright and early.
The mosques in East Dearborn are now at times waking us up at 5:30 in the morning. The noise complaints have been made out and the police have made numerous visits. What is the next step?
Now, the local news is talking about it. They report there is a noise ordinance from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., but the city says they're still looking into it. Meanwhile,
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to speak out for the people of Oklahoma and Texas and all of us shit kickers in the middle of the country here. If you're going to allow this Allah Akbar noise making in the city, then you got to let me have my chickens back. Because to me, that sounds a lot like chicken crowing, and I'm not kidding you. And I'm kind of pissed because I want my eggs fertile, and then Bill Gates is coming after all my stuff, and it's just, well, it's just unnatural, and, well, here we go.
Everybody you talk to down here, either their grandpa had roosters, their dad, their uncle, their cousin. I mean, the feed stores, the hotels, I mean, millions of dollars have been lost.
That's right.
We don't have the money. These yellow white legs, that's one reason you can tell a hack.
They take the extra and they're selling it.
It was legal the whole time I was growing up, and it went from legal to felony. 10-year prison sentence. Loud and open. Actually went from last year, I believe. Then the Kelsos or the next. When the bad freeze came, these are guys right here that come up from Tyler, Texas. I plant ryegrass every year so they have green grass year round over there. You know, I had a rooster who's passed away last week, was 10 years old. You know, they had a lot better life living here.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, and that's you know, you're going to let them howl, but not our chickens. You better think about where you're coming from. That's just not natural. Here you go. This is some excellent fighting chicken material you got to see right here. So you didn't think I was serious about that, but I am. I mean, if you're going to allow them to do their howling and yodeling, you need to allow us to have our chickens, because, I mean, how is that any different than my chickens or my cows? And it's a noise ordinance, but, I mean, I'm just going to take a poll. Would you rather hear the chickens, the Allah Akbar, or the cattle? I'd like to know. Personally, I think it's the sound of America. But, you know, you thought I was kidding, huh? Well, you better wake up. And I want you to know that we got to wake up, and wake up now. It's either chickens or Muslims. It's either Uncle Sam and Colonel Sanders or something else. But, you know, we can bind together, but all this other stuff that's coming to us is pretty interesting and not in a good way. We got HEB, Texas Foods, ICE. They've raided, and it appears that they've been hiring illegal aliens and kids, and it's a shame to apprehend the ones that have jobs. Wondering if they can find the drug dealers that don't. Those are the ones I'd like for you to find. I mean, as far as the ones that are working, I hope you're returned safely, but HEB, are there going to be consequences now? Instead of the people working, how about the people spending money? We don't know how they got it. I've told this and said this for years. ICE, you need to go to every Costco in the state of Texas, because they've been infiltrated by India almost as bad as, well, New Jersey, Texas, Florida, and Australia. And the truth is probably over 50% of them are illegal. That's just a fact. I can tell it. And they have mastered the fake ID and the infiltration. But we have ICE raiding San Antonio, Texas, HEB, finding hundreds. Now, I mean, of course, if you're into music, you could hear this again. I want you to hear how music in America will sound. You're either going to take the chickens and you're going to take the sound of America, or something else. Here we go again. How does this sound?
Would you like to hear this blasting through your neighborhood? They don't have a choice of whether they hear this or not.
competing with chickens, I guarantee you. And Pavarotti.
Have you heard about what's brewing?
Our next one takes us to the southeast, the Sunshine State of Florida, Osceola County in particular.
A Florida sheriff walked into his office, thinking it was just another day. Hours later, he walked out in handcuffs, his badge stripped away, facing decades behind bars. But this wasn't just one corrupt cop caught taking bribes. This was something far worse. From the sunny streets of Central Florida to the dusty checkpoints along the Mexican border, federal investigators were uncovering a network of corruption so deep it made you question everything. These weren't officers being pressured by cartels. They weren't victims of intimidation. They were the operation, running it, protecting it, profiting from it. And when the truth finally came out, it exposed a terrifying reality. The cartels aren't just crossing our borders anymore. They're wearing badges while they do it. His name was Marcos Lopez, and on the surface, he looked like the perfect sheriff. Elected in 2020 to protect Osceola County, Florida, he made promises about safety and justice. But behind that badge, Lopez was building an empire, not of law and order, but of illegal gambling and cartel cash. The whole thing started back in 2019, when Lopez was just a deputy running for sheriff. He needed campaign money, and he needed it fast. That's when he connected with Krishna Deokaran, a man who controlled a network of illegal gambling operations across Central Florida. Lopez also brought in Kate, a Chinese businesswoman who imported gambling machines. Together, they formed what prosecutors would later call a criminal enterprise. And Lopez put his intentions in writing. In a text message that would later seal his fate, he told Kate something chilling. When I win, we start our first internet cafe in Osceola County. You'll be safe and not have to worry about anything because I'll be your sheriff. And when Lopez actually won the election, he kept that promise. In 2022, they opened the Eclipse Social Club in Osceola County. This wasn't some hidden backroom operation. They promoted it openly on
Well, we got 4,000 more people just killed. Russia's going around crippling the Ukraine every single angle, from the Odessa, even from the east, the north. Belarus is ready to come in. Zelensky, you need to get him out of there. I'm asking you just to save some Ukrainians' lives, to oust this guy within a week. Same thing with Netanyahu. These are evil people on their way out, and they are basically Jews that make Jews look bad. There's a few of those that we could name. Besides Adolf Hitler, I could throw George Soros into that with Silverstein in 9/11, but we'll leave all that out for right now. Those aren't things that we need to talk about, that you don't need to simmer on, of course, according to Shapiro, because according to Shapiro, it's okay if Mossad took out JFK because it's Israel. I mean, and understand these 20 to 40 hostages are way more important than the 20 to 40 people on fentanyl or the homeless people that are in your town living underneath your bridge that are Americans. And understand, we get the bill to save all these people that never say thank you. Nor will they ever, nor could they ever. And I'm just wanting you to see it. So we have a lot of interesting things going on, but 4,000 plus people. Okay, near LPR, heavy Russian counter assaults. And we have basically 4,000 Ukrainian troops. And we are taking part in something horrible. There was also 3,100 drones they sent in. Russia's going all out with China. And everybody in Europe damn well knows they don't stand a chance against Russia, especially with a combined force with China and 2 billion Muslims. This thing's over before it starts. Trump hails the end of war as Hamas frees all living hostages, and Israel makes a last-minute hoorah. I'm going to pray that Netanyahu doesn't start any more trouble, and if he does, Erdogan, MBS, and the Arab empires have united, and I do not want to say on how they will respond. My prayers are for President Trump and his safety so that he can get back home. And I'm glad that he was out there to sign this peace deal in the Middle East with 20 other nations, including Israel, except they did not attend, including Hamas, and they did not attend. But isn't it neat how Giorgia Meloni from Italy attends, and even Macron from France attends with MBS and Saudi and Qatar? Again, the big news for the day is I want you to know somehow Israel hits Qatar. Qatar offers us Air Force One about a month prior to that. But then to give them a base in the middle of Dearborn, Michigan, you're going to hear that fighting chicken sound just like I was showing you. That Dearborn, Michigan fighting chicken sound is going to spread to Idaho. Who's the hoe? Idaho. And it's going to not be finger licking good. No, it's not Colonel Sanders. It's more like you better put that turban on or else. So I don't know how it's going to be, but it's news that I'm just wanting you to know about. Because we're going to have an Islamic Air Force somewhere in the middle of, in the state of Idaho. And if that's good with you, well, then that's fine, but it's not good with me. I'd rather we put that base, if they had to put one anywhere, either in Qatar or in Panama, where we could then kick them off and put them to work as we kick China out. But to invite them right on the inside. I think we're letting them build a Trojan horse right here while we're here. And we read this history for a lesson because we know what's going to happen next, right? Just like in the book El Cid, just like in the history of Spain and France, we see history unfolding once again within 1,000 years on cultures that clash. And once again, the two forces that did put away Jesus, the Romans and the Jews, stand united, and they don't believe in the Messiah. And if he wasn't the Messiah, I would say this to the Jews, then how did he save the remnant and bring them back? Because in World War II, it was Great Britain, the United Kingdom, and the United States that saved the remnant of Israel. And back then we were 100% Christian, mark my words. And to deny that proves how hard your heart is. I pray that this war is over. I pray that everybody is home and happy. So we have to pray that Netanyahu doesn't do anything that he typically does. And just keep in mind that he always responds horribly. The only way we're going to have peace quickly is to get Zelensky out of office immediately, Benjamin Netanyahu out of office immediately, and then peace in the Middle East can truly start. I pray for the people in Palestine and in Israel, and I pray that they can get a leader, a prime minister in Israel that is filled full of compassion. I've recommended my friend Sensei Frank Dukes. He'd be a good prime minister for Israel. And then we could see some hand-to-hand combats, perhaps, if people wanted to prove a point, and that would probably sell some more movie stuff too, and be a little bit more believable than October the 7th, at least for me. So we have the prisoners returned, and the 2-year theater from Gaza finally over. Production from Benjamin Netanyahu. I think it's going to be his final Oscar award-winning play, and that is the 2-year war that really never happened, just so that he could stretch out his career and get America to blow up every other neighbor that he could. And from all the dead soldiers in Desert Storm, I'd personally like to tell you to kiss my ass, and I can't wait for the day that you're just done with, period. Germany's EU's warmonger riots explode in Berlin. They want the bullet makers out. They want a unification with Putin. They see light in Christ, as do I. And I'm telling you once again, the only safety that Europe is going to have is if Uncle Sam can unite in Christ and unite with Europe and with Putin in Christ and uphold those values that built up Europe, or Europe will be gone and it will be a memory and a place not to visit, because who would want to go there? I hope to drink some Guinness in Ireland and visit a whole bunch of people from Ireland. But you have to protect your numbers and your culture, or in the blink of an eye, Ireland will be gone, just as the United Kingdom looks like a different country today. So, Viktor Orban was completely right. That would be the Prime Minister of Hungary, and he's a man to listen to. And Vladimir Putin has proven to be a good leader. And we have the unification of the people of Europe, believing in him as they watch the EU and NATO fall and crumble. Let's face it, we're on the side of warmongers and stirring up and killing children for no reason at all, just because BlackRock tells us to, through a designer breed that says they're supposed to control the world. War profits spark chaos, Berlin riots. They label Germany as a war machine. And everything is going. A lot of people are calling Jared Kushner the new Antichrist. A lot of people are seeing a new world order coming in and they're not buying it. I wonder what you believe. Now we have interesting things that are coming through. And we have peace talks that have finally happened. And we have 2,000 Palestinians that were released today. And that's just something that I want you to know, and that's amazing. So we have 40 Israeli hostages and 2,000 Palestinian hostages, and I'm going to ask the question, there was 1.9 million Palestinians, maybe 300, 400,000 today. Why is nobody allowed to ask, where's the million missing Palestinians? And also, I would like to remind us of the genocide that's happening throughout Africa with Christians, and the genocide also that they're doing in South Africa, the one that's white against black, faith against non-faith. And we need to understand that these times are now, and that nations do divide, and that wars do happen. And to wake up. Because if you're going to allow Dearborn, Michigan to sound like chickens are coming into the area, then I want my chickens back. And with that, then you got to give me my guns back, because I'm going to go hunting with my Labradors and anything else that sounds like it might be wild. There's a lot of people that agree with me out there, but we have our values that we need to withhold and uphold. And eventually it will be the believers against the non-believers, and the alphabet soup stands more isolated against the people of faith than you would believe. So if a war kicked out today, would it be the Crusaders? Would it be Christians against Muslims? Or would it be Christians and Muslims against alphabet soup? Would it be Hindus and Muslims and Christians against alphabet soup? I don't know, but there is some sort of designer civil war coming upon us, according to Tucker Carlson, according to Alex Jones. And everybody can kind of see it. But I just showed you we have cops working for the cartels, elected officials from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, probably even that cop that accused Vim Miller of being the third assassin, Bianco. He's probably working for the cartel too. I'll say something so ridiculous about him because that's all that guy does. And how's immigration going? So the Netherlands, they legalized pot, they legalized drugs and everything. This is in Amsterdam today. People say, hey, Colonel, are you going to sell me some oil in the Netherlands? Can you get it to us there? I say, go be a shoebox salesman, housewife. And the answer is no. We're at war. They're at war. You want some proof of it? Go look behind me. Other than that, Amsterdam does not want any more asylum seekers. Anti-immigration protests erupted in Amsterdam on Sunday as demonstrators marched under the banner Defend Netherlands. Ik hou van jou. Ik meer van jou. Weltuste stammelil. Voicing concerns over rising asylum seekers and declining living standards. Protesters waved Dutch flags, chanted slogans, and held up signs. Stammelil, Weltusta, while authorities maintained a heavy police presence, resulting in multiple arrests. Even the hookers in the red light district said that they did not want any more people coming through that didn't know how to tip properly. The demonstration relocation from the Dam Square to the museums followed this rites because the people didn't even know how to properly look at stuff in a museum. And I just want to remind everybody that Oklahoma's been fighting chicken territory, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you want to get yourself a real good one, this guy named Troy, he's got some real good ones, and you can go to thegamecock.com and probably find yourself some good chickens or at least a good Russian beaver. But this right here, look at this bird and the legs on him. Now, is that some beautiful cock or what there? And I'm telling you, sounds just like my Muslim neighbors that I've heard up there in Dearborn, Michigan. Sounds like just being right next to a fighting chicken farm, I swear. So Colonel Sanders is going to recommend that if you're going to make Dearborn, Michigan legal, well, you better bring back horse racing and fighting chickens, because it sounds pretty much the same, except at least we get something finger-licking good by the time the other one's over. My name's Chris Sanders. Thank you for joining me. Hope you got a laugh out of some of this type of stuff. This would be Troy Farms out there in the state of Oklahoma. He goes bounces. He's got a Filipino wife. I even have some of his blood. You might be wondering if I'm BSing, and I'm totally not. I really am that much of a shit kicker. So anyways, these are some pretty interesting fowl here. This would probably be a sweater. And I, of course, have sweaters as well. And sweaters hatch round heads and white hackles in Kelsos. But we pioneered these, and a good fighting chicken, believe it or not, can live for 10 to 16 years. Whereas all round heads, white leghorns and domestic breeding chickens, they'll live 4, 5, 6 years. So what do you think's healthier to eat? Something that's bred for longevity and health, or something that's been programmed quickly to die? And then when we get a production white and a production red and we crossbreed them, well, that's what you actually eat at McDonald's, and that's what you actually eat at Kentucky Fried. And we have a bird that'll double muscle and get so heavy it'll almost want to die within a year and a half. And by the time it's about 3 months old, it's so almost just heavy upon itself that it's hard for it to sustain itself and live, because it's been programmed to die so quickly. The question is that healthy for us to eat? So you hear me talking about the health of buffaloes and mycorrhiza and soil health. And that's because in my undergraduate studies, I went to Texas A&M and studied agriculture system management and marine biology and all this other type of stuff. But it's all about soil health. And once we have proper soil health, we can actually have cleaner eggs, cleaner meat, cleaner cheese and cleaner you. And we talk about the air to water because it's the herbicides and the pesticides that have haunted us the most, and we find that the atrazine has feminized the male population. And so south of here in Oklahoma, in Lake Lewisville, that's the drinking water for the city of Dallas. And through the University of North Texas and Texas Women's University, what if I told you their drinking water has hundreds of times the amount of birth control and estrogen that it needs, combined with diazone, grazon, and atrazine? from Aubrey and Pilot Point in the sand. And it's toxified the community, but more importantly, it's feminized North Texas. So the answer is air to water. And we've had Tyrone B. Hayes of Berkeley University, and he has shown how this has actually happened from atrazine. Again, if you need a good chicken, you can go to thegamecock.com. This would be Troy Farms, Troyano Farms, and he's really big in Sabong, and that would be the actual support. Excuse me, the sport in the Philippines. It's their national gaming sport. On to Tucker. Listen to what's going on with what he's about to say right here, if we can, and see if I can get this to play again here. There we go.
I think Bibi is completely evil and completely destructive. He's using the United States, its economy, and its military power for his own ends. I'm very interested in how American leaders could betray their own country. That enrages me. But the real blame lies with us. Why are we allowing this?
Tucker Carlson just blasted Israel and Netanyahu for exploiting the United States. And in this clip, he gets into the twisted and toxic nature of the U.S.-Israeli alliance.
Bibi's running around, this is a fact, I'm not guessing about this, because I talked to people he said it to, is running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country, and telling people point blank, just stating it, I control the United States, I control Donald Trump. He's saying that, and I dare them to say that's not true. Bibi, not the nation of Israel, not Israelis, and certainly not Jews, whatever that means, the leader, the secular prime minister of a country is doing immense harm to Donald Trump's presidency, to the United States, and to the world. This is an unbalanced person whose only real concern is for himself. He's meddling in an extensive way in American politics. He's loathed by the entire world.
Dinesh D'Souza.
I would completely agree. So those are the facts. I want to thank you for joining me. My name is Chris Sanders here at the American News Network. Please like, share, and please subscribe. You can find us also at Major News Network on Roku, on TVs, and on apps on the Google Play Station. My name's Chris Sanders, and thank you for FM and AM radio network and stations throughout the United States of America. God bless each and every one of you. Good day.